I come back from California, where when they put the new federal law in, I closed the horse book in Barstow, California, and come back. And I was around here for maybe 3 or 4 weeks. I was doing a little gambling around here and in different spots, playing cards and one thing and another. And I used to go in and get 6 cigars, and we'd match double or nothing. And I went in there one day, and Shorty Oliver Storm told me, he says, Kelly, he said, how would you like to take the gambling over? And what they had was they had punch boards, and they booked the sports, all the sports. And about the second year I was there, I even had a pool table moved down into the basement. That's a special room built in the basement. I had a pool table sent down there, and I'd set the punch boards up on the pool table. And my customers would start coming in around noon. And I'd be there 14 hours a day in that place. I even had the craps up, the dice up about the second or third year I was there. Shorty invited me out to they used to stag night, they used to shoot craps around the table there and he invited me out, and then none of them took exception to me being there, because they all knew where I was and what I did, that Shorty and I had the gambling going on or the bookmaking, and they knew that. I come back from Kansas City, and I had a bottle of outstanding Canadian whiskey, and Hasser was he was the best customer I had around here, as you would figure. So I just it's a Wednesday and it's stag night, so I just stopped on the way in and took the bottle out to the club and give it to Hasser. So I was just going to give him the bottle and talk a little bit with to him and leave. And he insisted we break the bottle open and drink it, you know. So we did after, I don't know, we'd had a few drinks, that's for sure. And they set up a gin game for 25 cents a point, Hollywood gin, which is pretty fast. I'm to play Dean Durmeyer, and Hasser's taking half of Durmeyer's action. Well, Durmeyer was a very outstanding gin rummy player. He's very good. I didn't really have absolute knowledge myself how good he played until I played him. But I'm drinking, and he never takes a drink at no time. And I'm drinking, and when it come time to close up the club, I'm about probably $2,000 loser. So they all left, and nobody left in there except they closed the place up except Durmeyer and me. And we played for a number of hours after that. But Hasser went back up to the Playboy Club, and he told Roy Warhurst, who owned that, he told him, he said, look, he said, Kelly's out there playing gin with Durmeyer, and he said, I got half Durmeyer's action. And he says, Kelly's drinking, and he's about 2,000 loser when I left. And Roy told me about this later. And Roy told him, he says, Kelly's drinking and loser out there, and he's drunk and loser. He said, yeah. He said, well, he says, Kelly will sober up. When it finally got down to where he lose enough that he wanted to raise it up to $1 a point, and I didn't, we'd been playing quite a while. And I said, no. I said, we'll just finish it the way we started. I'm probably one of the few that ever beat him, if any. If anybody ever beat him out there, I'd say that it was because they played a few games and quit. If they played him any length of time, he would probably beat them. He played good. There's no question about it. But I got to hold a lot of cards, and you get spurts like that. And Hollywood Gin, after you win the first 2 games, you start playing another 3 set. It's 3 games to 150 points, double on blitz. Well, I blitzed him quite a few games. So he finally quit. And of course, I was happy he did quit because I was tired of playing. But he quit, and we didn't even have the sheets tallied up. So I took all the sheets down to him and had him do it on his machine. And it come out, I forget what it was, somewhere around $3,400 he owed me. In other words, what Roy said, Kelly will sober up. I picked up about $500 from that point. And then we played once more up at the Playboy.
Pla Mor?
Up at the Playboy, the Playboy Club,
Okay.
which was up above Pete the Greek's, where Harlow Preston had.
Yeah, okay.
And I think he won $200 or $300, and that was it. Well, we never played anymore. Your dad was there when the federal government come in. He was sitting down there. I used to have some beer down there, bottled beer, and I'd have a little whiskey in the. I had one of those icebox coolers, you know, that Coke put out, and they'd sit around there and watch on television or listen on the radio to something, but watching the television mostly and just talking. Now I remember that I probably had 8 or 10 people down there. I think I probably had the first. I probably had the first door opener where you stick a card into the slot.
I can remember those.
The first door opener. And of course the Federal had one of them. They knew what they was doing. And they had everything covered. They make the state and city raids look like they don't know what they're doing. They're there all the time. So I just told the people there, they were interviewing the people in the room, and I just told them, I said, listen, I don't want any of you people telling anything but the truth. And because I know with the Federal, it ain't gonna make any difference. They don't come unless they know what they're doing. Especially, they had 11 Federal men. I called it a football team and 2 coaches.
Yeah.
Because they had 2 policemen with them, city policemen, and they had 11 of their men. They were all over the joint. They had everything stopped upstairs. You couldn't move anything, and you couldn't hide anything. You couldn't do nothing, you know.
Yeah. And what year was this? About what year was this?
This was in 56. 1956. It was the biggest week. To show you how smart they are, it's the biggest week there is in gambling since they started booking. The World Series is on, and it's the first week of football. Now, how big is that? They know what they're doing.
So did they close you down or what?
I made them. No. They just take the evidence. There wasn't anything it come up before the judge almost a year later in '57. They had, I made him give me 3. This is a fact. It's a good thing that I was in handling the gambling. If my partner was handling it, it'd have been curtains. I made them give me. I didn't ask for 3 people, but I said, "You're going to have to. We're going to have to copy all these slips off." And 3 of them and myself worked copying of the federal men. They were going to. They'll take the original slips, and then I'll have a copy. And you can see why, don't you? Well, let's supposing that you had a couple of parlays that you bet maybe $20 or $50 on. That's going to pay $500, $600, $700, and they know that you would know that the federal picked up all this evidence. I got no record, right? So you put a claim in that it win. I had about 7 or 8 tried that, but it didn't work because I just rattled right off what they had. I had now you see, I might be the only man hardly that would think of this anywhere, but I know that it's there because I've seen it happen before, you know. So I had a record of everything, and the 7 or 8 of them that tried it run into a proposition that made them wish they hadn't brought it up because it exposed them as the asshole they were. They were playing poker out at the Shawnee Country Club, and Henster he's always going to start something. And he brought up George Docking was running for governor, and so he just asked around the table. He says, "What do you think the odds would be of him winning it?" And I don't know. Is Harlan Hobbs still living?
No.
Well, Harlan Hobbs says 100 to 1. So Henster says, "I'm betting you $10." So the next day, which was I think it was Thursday, he come up to the Pla Mor, which he always did, and he's telling about the bet and what I think of the bet. And I told him, I said, I knew Bill Henster very well, and during the week when football is being played, he's liable to have 20 or 30 bets, and he winds up with an even number on each side, and he's taking the best of it, 1 or 2 points. So he could come to me telling me about that bet. I said, I can tell you how you can win on either side. I said, I can tell you how you can win $65 if Docking loses, and $250 if he wins. And I could see the green lights going in his brain. And he said, how are you going to do that? And I said, I'll bet you $75 at 10 to 1. If Docking wins it, you owe me $750. You collect $1,000, right? And if Docking doesn't win, you owe $10 to Harlan, and you collect $75 for me. Well, of course, he snapped it up. He just like a frog jumping at a red rag, and I had frog legs for dinner. But the best part of that is still unrelated to you. And I told you about it, so you remember it once. So the bet, when the election's over, Henster come up the next day and paid me the $750. But he didn't get a nickel of that $1,000 because that was just, it was exactly the way it was told to Henster. This is just bullshit amongst the customers, right? Amongst the poker players, the 100 to 1. So he loses the 750 and didn't collect a nickel. Now, if you think there wasn't fire under his, but he was so, he'd done some traveling because he sold that meat, They had that packing house, and I forget, he had Midwestern or whatever it was, meat. He went to the grocery store in different spots and sold the meat. Yeah. And he got around a lot, see, besides the members of both clubs. And he'd have 15, 20 bets on as many as he could get. I would think that the first bet he made, he would, knowing him, he would take the favorite and take about 1.5, 2 points the best of it, see? And then he'd go to somebody for the first one he laid it on. And these don't have to be but maybe $10, $20 bets. But when you get 10 or 15 on each side, now you got $200 or $300. And if it lights in any one of those 1.5, 2 points, he wins both sides. And if it comes on, if it's an even point, not a half point handicap, and it comes on one of the points, he'll get a tie on one side and win the other. It's a win-win proposition. The only way he can keep from winning is if the score is big enough where the handicap is met. Then he breaks even. He loses.
So he had it down pretty good.
Huh?
He had it down pretty good.
Boy, he was playing, hoping for the splitter, which is what we call a splitter, and or the tie, where he can win both sides or win one and tie the other.